Hey everybody, it's me. I am here in Kelso, Washington. I just spent the whole day up at Mount St. Helens driving around and looking at stuff. Didn't have any service or anything, so it's taking us a while to get back. So, first thing that happened when we came out of uh, that bad area and we were able to get cell service, I was checking some messages and uh, I asked my sister, I think yesterday, where they were at because I think I'd mentioned it. She was traveling also, and I went back and looked, and it said she was in Kelso, Washington. So I told Jess, I was like, "Hey, look up where Kelso, Washington's at," and it was literally 13 minutes away from where we're at, just a little small town. But at the same time, uh, I had started my trip probably about 14 or 15 days before my sister had started her trip, and she started it in a completely different state from me. She had this whole other stuff planned, and it just was happenstance that we're here. She's getting ready to go on an Alaskan cruise to go whale watching and see some icebergs and stuff. But it just so happened that we were all the way on the West Coast and within a few miles of each other. It's just how it turns out sometimes, I guess. So I'm excited. I haven't got to see her since, what, 2020, 2021, something like that. Used to live down there in Alabama for a while, and we worked with my sister and her husband and everything. And plant closed down, I think, in 2020, March 2019. But I'm going to introduce you to her, and we're going to sit and talk about her trip so far and what she's learned and how she's going about doing her trip, and the different things that she's utilized on the trip so far, and how she would do things different and stuff. So we'll just get into it real quick. Tracy, what's up?
Hey, nice to see you in Washington.
It's really nice to see you too. It's crazy. Mom's gonna have a cow. She sees this video.
And together.
Yeah. Oh, my babies. So originally, you were going to do a train trip.
Right.
You were going to fly to Canada and then take a train all the way out to the West Coast and just do the cruise.
We're supposed to fly from Alabama to Toronto, get on a bus train tour, and go Niagara Falls, and then all the way across Canada, and get on an Alaskan cruise, and then fly home from Vancouver.
And you said that was...
It's going to be about $13,000.
Did that include stops and food and everything? That was all provided?
It all provided. And it included like a tour guide and all that. Sounded great, but you're going to see all of Canada, which now I heard is all under wildfire. So
yeah, I saw like the whole part of one province. The whole province went up at the same time.
It killed our trip.
Yeah. So.
And it was only 22 days.
Okay.
And this one here, we decided to take that money and do our own trip, and it'll be 40 days, and we'll get to do the Alaskan cruise.
So you already had the money put aside for the train trip and stuff.
Right.
So your decision then, rather than camping and stuff, you built a whole itinerary.
Right.
And you've done all hotels, stayed, and you've had an itinerary for each day. Everything's blocked out. Could you tell us exactly what app you're using and how you put that stuff together?
We're using the Road Trippers app, and it's a free app. If you want to do, I think you can do 30 trips on there, and then you got to pay, and I think it's $9 a year or something like that for the Road Trippers app. It's cheap. And you go on the Road Trippers, tell them where you're at, and it'll tell you all the major things to see in that area. It'll tell you the hotels in that area.
Does it differentiate between like tourist traps and actual destinations that you can enjoy yourself?
It'll tell you like your natural, like mountains, your hiking and stuff like that, or it'll tell you historical, or it'll tell you Broadway shows. You know what I mean? It breaks them all up into different.
So basically, you could plan a trip to the same area of the same state
with different interests.
And have a completely different trip every single time.
Right.
Oh, okay. So that's a really good app. Did you guys use any other things or?
We used that, and then just major things that we wanted to see. So, like, if I said, okay, I know I'm going to San Francisco from LA, San Francisco from LA, and those are my two major stops, what am I going to see in between to kill time? That's how I'm kind of doing it.
Sis, I'm going to be really upset at you if you didn't go see the Full House.
No, I did not. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I was not a fan.
really?
Don't kill me. Sorry.
I think that was a little after her time.
Sorry. Not a fan.
Yeah. We did the New York trip. We were in New York for just a few days, and we decided that we were gonna, keep count of every last cent just to see how much it ended up costing me. It ended up being not too bad, but also not really well either. And Grandpa, my dad bought that RV, and gas is through the roof everywhere now.
Yes.
My buddy Kyle, he took that RV into Michigan. I think he paid to go there and back just to Michigan almost like $600 and stuff just to fill it up.
Yeah.
It wasn't filled up when he left our house. I think I had a quarter of a tank, so he filled it up the first time, and then he made sure that he filled it up again. So he ended up spending a lot of money, and then I think he said he might have filled it up once when he was out there. So with that information, we almost brought the RV across this country, but I think by the time I'd end up being done with that, it would have just been such an outrageous amount. And then my Tahoe, I've had the Tahoe since 2015 or something like that, and it's got like 260,000 miles on it. It was Kylie's Tahoe, and I didn't want to destroy it to do this. So I've got all these different things, like I watched like Vice Grip Garage on YouTube, and he'll drive like 3 states away, find an old car, fix it up, and try to limp it back home and stuff. And then he does different things with it. It's really interesting. Then I used to watch Top Gear and stuff, and I always liked the cheap car challenges and stuff. It was always something I thought was interesting. And Jess and I said that we wanted to go, and I said, what would be neat? I was like, I don't want to take the Tahoe, but if we rented a car, it's going to cost us thousands of dollars for having it out for a month, plus all the gas and everything on top of it. I was like, we ought to just go find a cheap vehicle and get it roadworthy and take that, and then if it breaks down, we'll just fly home. That's exactly what I said there. So that kind of snowballed from there, But all of our itinerary, nothing like what you guys did. I said, I got like 7 states I need to get to, and then I got all 48 states in the continental.
Yeah.
So I've only got 3 more states left: California, Arizona, and Nevada. That's it, and I'm done. And of course, Jess is just starting all of her states and stuff. But my itinerary was so loose, it was almost like if I smelled a certain smell, I would go a different route. So all my stuff was completely different from we were just doing a shoestring budget, just to see how much we spend. I've actually, in the last 4 or 5 days, because I've had some issues with the vehicle, and then I knew I was going to maybe be going through the desert later, so I went and bought all like belts and hoses and stuff. So all that stuff, it actually builds up quicker than you realize, to be honest. I'm probably a few $1,000s into this trip already.
California killed our budget.
Did it?
Outrageous.
So, do you want to give me a rundown of maybe like the top 5 things that you've seen so far on the trip, and maybe tell me the top couple things that you expect to finish? Or the things that you're most excited about to come.
Okay, top 5 things I've seen that I really loved was probably the elephant seals along the coast.
That was by the Hearst Mansion down in California, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Above LA, Sacramento, along the coast right there off of 101. And that's free. You just go up, see them, and that's just drive by and see it.
Or what are the rules about interacting with them and stuff? You got to stay a certain amount away from them?
Yeah, you have to stay because they're protected. And, it is a protected area. You are way up off on a boardwalk, and you just sit there and watch it.
Okay,
but
so
it's awesome.
So unless someone actually breaches a barrier or something, they can't get into it.
Right. The scariest thing that's going to come up to you is those dang squirrels that'll chase you all over the parking lot. But the elephant seals are amazing.
So the squirrels out west are like
Or the
the
fast
seagulls,
little things,
the
yes.
seagulls of our area.
They're the prairie rats or something. I don't know what are up with these things. They try to get in the car with us. But that was probably number one. I love that.
Really?
And I love history. I drag my husband along with me to do the history, but I love the history. And so when we went into Dallas, we did the whole JFK thing. And Dallas is such a big city, and a lot of times if you're driving by, you don't know what you're really seeing. So we paid $60 to have a tour. You get on a van with them. They drive you around in 2 hours, tell you everything, and you've seen all of Dallas in 2 hours, and you know everything there is to know about JFK. I love that.
Really?
That's because I'm a history buff. Then we went to Fort Worth. That is the nicest city.
It's beautiful.
I
That was
love
the
Fort Worth.
Twin Cities down there are just amazing. Anyways,
Fort Worth, we end up with happened to be there when they're having the PBR rodeo.
oh yeah, did you guys go?
So we went to the rodeo.
Ooh.
That's cool. That was fun. So that was fun. Now the drive across Texas and Arizona, New Mexico, boy, you out of your mind.
Yeah,
Flat, nothing there. Better have gas when you see a town.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta pee, I pee.
do you? Let me tell you. I don't know if I ever told you this. Kylie and I, we went down to Laredo, Texas, on a semi one time, and when we come out of Colorado, we were coming down the 35 corridor, and for a real short period of time, we skirted across New Mexico, went through we were pretty close to White Sands and stuff, but whatever that corridor was, and it hadn't rained. I think there had been a drought in that area for 5 or 6 years at this point, and it rained when we were there. All of Laredo. We were there for the 4th of July that year. Nuevo Laredo it's like all the big bull.
Yeah.
I swear to God, it looked like war footage from Desert Storm. There were chasers and stuff going up. It was so dry out there that they canceled all of the holidays, all the 4th of July stuff, but all the regular people just went out and bought thousands and thousands, and it literally looked like Mexico and Laredo were in a war for a little while because they were shooting them over across the river. Laredo was shooting them over towards Mexico, and it was just private people, and it was we were up on a hillside to overlook the whole bowl, and you could see both sides, and it was one of the most fabulous things I think that I ever remember in my life happening. It was like a 4th of July unlike anything I've ever seen. But when we were coming down through New Mexico, we got caught in flash rain, and the sky turned black. We had some really good pictures. I got them somewhere still, but the sky turned black. So as soon as the sky turned black and it started raining, I just turned on my not my full headlights, but my daytime running lights for a little bit. But the road got black, and so I was like, man, I'm gonna have to turn my lights on. I can't even hardly see the lines on the road. I turned the lights on in the semi, and it was tarantulas. They come out of the desert, and the whole road, as far as you could see, was just a writhing mass, and I was sliding in tarantula guts. It was like I was on ice, and so we had to slow down, and Kylie was in the passenger seat. She's like, why are you slowing down, Jerry? And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, why are you slowing down? I was like, honey, we're sliding all over the road on these things. I was like, can't you film the semi wanting to fishtail and stuff? She's like, drive us off a cliff. I don't care.
Get us out
No,
of here.
I don't want you to stop. You just keep going as fast as you can. Get us to Laredo.
Crawling up in your front. No.
But then when we left out of Laredo, we come back up, and it was right after that rain. And apparently there was either it was triggered by the rain, or it was a migration or something. But we hit butterflies on the way back out of Laredo, bringing another load out, and it was the exact same thing. We finally got up, and I think it might have been Missouri or something, after we went through these swarms of butterflies for hundreds of miles, and my semi literally looked like a big fuzzy yellow and black semi, and it was a white semi when I started out. There was just so much stuff on it, But I love it down in the South. I think it's great. The dry air and everything. It's really
We've
good for
been
my
in
lungs.
Utah, when you pass Moab, Utah, and you go towards Arizona, like to where Horseshoe Bend is, that there is like being on another planet. You drive and drive and drive and drive, and it's just red. You look like you're on Mars, and there ain't no one.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I thought it was super pretty, but it's kind of scary at night. You break down, there ain't no help. There ain't nobody coming. But
Okay, so I think that was number 3.
yeah,
So, a couple more.
a couple more places that I liked. The Hearst Castle was really pretty. It was pretty. Kind of expensive to do the tour, but it was pretty. Let's see. Alcatraz. The view was pretty from Alcatraz. Alcatraz itself wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but the view was pretty. The ferry ride over was pretty. Let's see, where else? The White Sands that you were talking about, gorgeous. I just stayed there all day.
Nacogdoches area, all those places.
This is
just
really pretty. And then we went through the cactus. What's that?
Joshua tree or the saguaro cactus.
Yeah, the saguaro, or whatever it is. That's pretty. I thought they would be prettier, but they were still kind of amazing how big they get and how long it takes them to get that big.
Yeah, and then I think there's only certain times of the season when they actually open up and bloom and do all that stuff.
We missed it for like a couple of weeks. They're supposed to be like the end of the month is when they start blooming.
So by the time we get down there, if we go that way, we'll see it.
Beautiful. And let's see. San Diego, we went to the USS Midway.
Yeah.
That's very interesting if you're into seeing the ships and stuff like that.
Hey,
Pretty.
have you visited any of the other museum ships around the United States?
No. The
Like
kids
there's a
have
few on the East Coast and one down in Florida, I
Yeah,
think.
the kids have been to the Alabama.
Yeah.
Down there at the bottom of Alabama Gulf Shores. I think it's close to the Gulf Shores. They've been to it. Logan loved it, but I've never been to that one. So this was my first ship, and it was pretty cool.
Okay, now on to the
Not so.
just give us a couple that you wish you would never put on your itinerary. It was, I don't know, too much money. It wasn't what they said it was.
Well, Alcatraz was kind of on there too because, like I said, the ferry ride over was gorgeous, and we spent, I think it was $130 for the both of us to do that, and the actual Alcatraz itself, as far as it being a prison and all that, kind of wasn't what you see on TV kind of thing. But the view and everything else was pretty. So if you're there for the view, you're good. But if you're there for the history of the museum, kind of thing, you know. I could have bypassed that. Let's see, what else was not? Duck Dynasty. Don't waste your time there.
It's funny, you were telling the story a little bit ago, but that's not the first person. You're not the first person I've heard that from. I heard that it was that all they were. It was just a big money grab, and all that.
Yeah.
Everything was super expensive now because they got a little famous. And
I mean, you see on Duck Dynasty, and I don't, some of those shows you see on TV that they're. You think they're out in the woods somewhere, they're rednecks and, these down-home people or whatever, and when you get there, it is literally in the center of a big town, and Sid's little camper is like being right here in this mall, and tons of people around, and you walk in and they want $100 for a t-shirt, and you're like, no, don't waste your time, keep going.
Well, I know that this is probably going to be the longest interview just because you're my sis and I like catching up, and they don't get no say on what I do. So, but I do. Just a couple more quick things.
Okay.
For your cruise to Alaska, you're going up to Olympic and going across there.
We're going to Seattle. We're leaving out of Seattle. We'll go from Seattle to Glacier Bay, and get to cruising Glacier Bay, hopefully see an iceberg or a glacier do its thing.
You mean Cav and come in the water and
Yeah.
great the cavitation wave
We're
come
hoping.
tear it at you guys.
And I'm hoping to see whales.
Oh
And,
yeah. At this time of year, what are they telling you? Is it just going to be like humpbacks, or there orcas up there right now, or what's traveling through?
I think it's the humpbacks is what I'm thinking. I was been reading on the app to see how people that are coming in, they're on the same cruise that we're getting ready to get on, and they haven't seen any. But they said that if you do the excursions, we haven't booked any excursions because we've been on other cruises and we've booked excursions through the cruise line, and you pay like 3 times as much money, and you get there, and the local people will have the exact same excursion for half the price.
Are you going to be staying on the mainland, or are you going to be staying on the cruise ship the whole time you're there?
Cruise ship the whole time, but we stop in a port every day.
Okay, so do you have an itinerary for all the ports?
It's Juneau, Skagway, Ketchikan, something, and then Victoria, which is British Columbia, and then there's one other, because there's 5 stops. Then we have the Glacier Bay. So the first day we're at sea all day, and then you go all the way up to the bay, then you make your stops on the way back, and it's a 7-day cruise.
Are you guys going to cruise? So you're coming straight back to Seattle through that? So you're not, okay. Okay, that makes sense. You go up
on the outside, then you come back to Passage on the way back.
Okay.
And then you're back to Seattle.
What are your expectations once you get back from the trip? What are you going to go along the 90 corridor and just do the Yellowstone and the things that we just did, or you got other plans?
Well, our trip kind of looks like a heartbeat because I'm trying to get all the states in. So we're going through the rest of Seattle, through Idaho, Montana, and then we're going to drop down into Wyoming, Colorado, and then we're going to go back up to South Dakota, North Dakota, then back all the way back down to the Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas area, and then we're going to go back up to Minnesota and hit the Mall of America up there. I think is in Minnesota. Is that right? Is it Minnesota?
Yeah, Mall of America. I think it's Minneapolis up there.
Yeah, and then we're coming back around to Illinois and doing some of that, and then back down into Missouri and St. Louis and doing the Arch and all that.
Yeah. Be safe in St. Louis and stuff, and a couple other spots, big cities and stuff. You got to be kind of wary. I don't think we have it
planned to spend the night there. I think we're going to spend the night over in, I don't even remember, it's outside of St. Louis, and then just driving through St. Louis, and then making our way back down through Kentucky, Tennessee, and back home.
What do you think of the people?
Huh?
What do you think of the people?
I was telling, him the other day that it's funny that you can go all over the United States and it's almost the same people everywhere.
Yeah.
You have the same types everywhere.
Yeah, it's just the scenery changes.
Yeah, that's it. And some of the scenery don't even change compared to home. It looks like Alabama.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was crazy. We were driving through eastern Montana, and I looked at Jess. I was like, "This looks like northeastern Ohio, like literally going up. Where the big train wreck just happened and stuff. All that area up into Pittsburgh and stuff. Eastern Montana looks just like at rolling hills. It's just at a higher elevation than we're at.
That's the way it is everywhere. And then we were down all the way down to the Mexico border there in Arizona, Yuma, Arizona. And we went over there and seen where the wall was and all this big stuff, and everyone's telling us, don't stay there, it's bad down there. And it's no worse than downtown LA or
Portland.
Yeah, Portland, we drove through with the doors locked, it ain't no worse.
We had a terrible time in Portland last night. It was really bad. We chose to go to an active volcano where it could have blown at any time and obliterated us. And we chose that over staying in Portland, if that tells you anything.
Well, we went into Portland this morning when I texted you and told you where we were headed. We went into Portland, seen the Capitol, which you can't even see because they're doing construction all the way around it, and then went and stopped at a temple, took a picture of it, and then got the heck out of Portland. That's all we seen in Portland.
Are you guys?
Not Portland, it was Salem.
Are you going to go see like any like we were going to go see the Battle of Bull Run and Custer's Last Stand and all that stuff, but just I was starting to feel a time constraint because we've been staying in that area for so long, and I'm sitting there looking. Oh, we're 6 days in it. I've only done 1,200 miles out of a 7,700 mile trip. I'm going to have to start booking. The last part of our trip, we're not really going and doing that stuff, that much stuff. Just maybe in one state, go find somewhere nice to eat. Like, just depends on where we're at, But, geez, I just lost track of what I was saying. I'm so sorry. What was I saying before?
Like bull run and all those things.
Oh yeah. I just didn't get the chance to see it, but I think that the greatest thing about not seeing stuff is it gives you an excuse
to
come back and do it again,
well,
and
say back
up and do it again.
It seems like we're going quick because we'll end up with 40 days in 26 states, and we went really fast at the beginning, and then we hit California, and we've been in California for 7 days. When we hit the Oregon line, we literally got out at the Oregon sign and did a jig. We were so happy to get out of freaking California. We had been there forever.
Yeah.
And
but you started from San Diego and came straight up the whole way. Yeah, we're only doing half of it, so it shouldn't take us that long. I think maybe 3 or 4 days, and then we'll probably head over to Vegas.
Rodney was like, "I've got to get out of California. I can't stand it."
I got one thing that I want to do. I didn't bring my gold pants and stuff. I left them in my garage, so that gives me an excuse to make another excursion with the van to come out. We were talking about maybe not even buying, maybe just renting a claim somewhere, like in an area that feels like this, not 180 degrees,
Yeah.
So we can get Matt out to let him run around, and I could go in gold pan and they could play in the river and swim and do whatever they wanted, but I just think it's kind of a good idea to not hit every single thing, because it always gives you options.
Well, that's what we were talking about, is we're going through it really quick in this short amount of time, but we're also telling ourselves Lake Tahoe, we would definitely come back and spend a week.
Just itself, one vacation.
Just even if you flew in, rented a house, and stayed there for a week or whatever. Lake Tahoe is number one on our list so far. As far as going there and seeing it, it's gorgeous, and it's so relaxing to see the mountains but see the lake, and the little town was nice. Another town that really surprised me that I would actually move there and you wouldn't think was Carson City, Nevada, and that's the capital, and it's the nicest, laid back, so nice and clean, and people were super nice.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'd come back to Carson City. And Carson City's never been on my radar. I didn't know nothing about Carson City until we drove in there.
There's a few places that I probably wouldn't visit again. There's nasty people everywhere and there's nice people everywhere, obviously. But like Spokane, front and center, seemed like there was a lot of people that just didn't want to give you the time of day.
I've not been impressed with Washington at all. And something I've noticed.
It's pretty. Wait till you get on the eastern side. Washington is beautiful.
Something I've noticed was we've been going through the states is you can almost tell how much pride they have in their state by the welcome sign they have at the border.
Yeah.
California, there's no welcome sign. Washington, there was no welcome sign. Well, actually there is as you go across that bridge, but it's got graffiti all over it.
Really?
You can't even see it until you are up on it, and then it says, "Welcome to Washington." That's the only way I knew that we were even in Washington until my GPS told me I was in Washington.
Really?
But Oregon's got this massive welcome sign, and then as soon as you drive in, you're like, "Oh, this is a pretty place."
It is. It's beautiful.
So
I'm completely and utterly dumb. I think Jess said that Oregon is South Dakota was her number one state, and I think she said that Oregon is her number
really
one
pretty.
now. So.
But I've told Rodney as we were driving through, I'm like, these welcome signs are a big clue as to how they feel about their state.
Yeah.
And the pride they have in themselves is what you're going to encounter in the state, is what the signs look like.
Well,
now, if anyone hears that, that'd be a good idea for you people to clean up your welcome signs.
Well, I told Jess, I was like, when we get back to Ohio, we need to go to the freaking state capitol and say, y'all need to call Montana, y'all need to call Wyoming, South Dakota, steal their people, get them to come and train your people, figure it out, because the highway systems They're so clean. They're so pristine
Then
and
go down
beautiful.
there and send them to Mississippi because they got the worst roads in the
Oh yeah,
country.
so dirty but you know, I think Hurricane Katrina, after all that went down, I still think that they're recovering from that on certain levels and stuff. Because I remember going through places like Biloxi and Slide. I went through Biloxi, I think 4.5 or 5 weeks after the hurricane. I mean, they were pulling coffins. They were pulling coffins out of the ocean where it flooded, and the sarcophagus were buoyant. They would float up out of the ground, and they were going in and salvaging them from the ocean. You could walk into Biloxi to the Gulf of Mexico up to your ankles. You couldn't see your toes, and it was insane because at the same time, like 2.5 weeks later, I was in Bradenton, Florida, and I went to one of the keys down through there, and you can walk in up to your neck, same body of water. The hurricane was still the same, and you could see your feet from the neck down in water, and you could see your feet on the bottom. It's just insane the way
One
that
thing
works.
I've noticed about traveling all over the country is you realize how much you take for granted at home when you get out and see other areas because you think everything on the other side is prettier. The Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean has nothing on the Gulf of Mexico. People down there were spoiled. If you're from Alabama or Florida or whatever and you can go to the Gulf, count yourselves lucky because there ain't nothing I've seen along the Pacific besides the elephant seals that I'd ever want to come back and see.
Really?
I just don't think the beaches or anything. We down there in the Gulf, we've got 100 times.
I know. From here up, the coastline's completely different from here down. You know, it's all rugged. There's great big huge like arches that's been eroded away out in the ocean. You can see these big things. I'm more interested to go see this part. We're going to go over to Astoria as soon as we leave here in a little bit, and that's where we're going to start our trip down to 101. But eventually, I want to get up to like around Vancouver Island, Victoria, and all that stuff, because the scenery looks amazing.
Along the beach, so make sure you guys got your winter gear on.
We may not need our winter gear because we got the AC and the heater working now, and the windows are rolling up and down. Things are going really good today. Yesterday wasn't so good. Today's going really well so far.
The closer you get to the coast up here, it's cold. It's freezing. It's like we'll be at 59 or 50 degrees over there. Drive in a little ways and you hit 82. Drive back, you're back in the 50s.
Really?
The coast.
It's that quick, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, I'm looking for a little cooler weather. It's been heating up pretty quick. We went through a couple of mid-90 days, you know, and up here in these altitudes and stuff, completely different.
Oh yeah.
A mid-90 day up here, it's like it's just sapping every bit of your strength, pulling all of your strength out of your body you're not even doing nothing.
I think the mid-90s here feel good. We've got the windows down and we're cruising. We feel good. Mid-90s down there in Alabama, you're dying.
There ain't nothing good in Alabama weather-wise. You got tornadoes and freaking 147% humidity.
You hit 80 down there and you're dying.
Oh, no.
This 90s up here is nothing.
Yeah, this is like it is. It's really nice. I like the dry heat of Texas and the desert Arizona area.
Yeah.
I've never been to Arizona, but I imagine it's probably almost exactly the same. 4th of July, 115 degrees. I was playing golf, and it felt like it was only like an 80-degree day to me, and I could breathe. Well, you know, I've had asthma problems my whole life and stuff, so, but I can really breathe in that climate, and it works wonders on my muscles and bones and stuff down there. It's just great.
I like the Arizona. Hoover Dam is gorgeous. You guys gotta do that. The Grand Canyon, of course. If you go down and do a horseshoe bend in Arizona, where it's at the line, it's right at the line of Arizona and Utah. It's horseshoe bend. That's really pretty.
Okay.
That area is really pretty.
Any places I would say that you might want to put on your list if you're going to be doing the 90 corridor, you might want to stop in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Okay.
When you go through there, it's very beautiful. There's this big, huge, long lake, and I think it is kind of a resort place. So it's very well maintained, beautiful in the mountains. We didn't really go and visit the cities when we were staying, so I really can't offer you a lot of information. The Black Hills were beautiful.
Did you guys go through the Badlands?
We skirted the northern edge of the Badlands, and I wanted to go, but at the same time, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to give it enough attention because the Badlands are an amazing, awesome place, and I didn't want to do it that early into the trip because there's so much more stuff that we had to do. But there's definitely now that I've been through that area, South Dakota is amazing. It's a beautiful place. Once you get down there, you'll start seeing this stuff every time. This whole area, every time you guys go around the corner now, there's a new view. There's something new. Cliffs.
I can't wait to get out of the cities that we've been, all the way up through California. City, and
I'm not looking forward to that. I do want to go to Sonoma, though. Well, not really Sonoma, the county. I want to go to the Sonoma River and stuff. I want to check all that area out.
Napa Valley, and there is vineyards everywhere through California. So when you get to Napa Valley, there's nothing amazing about it because you see them everywhere. You know what I mean? And unless you're into the wine and tasting and all that, we didn't even stop.
It's just like yeah.
We didn't. It was on my list to stop and do, but by the time we got there, we'd already seen it so much that we just kept driving.
One last question. If you could go back to the beginning of your trip now and do anything differently, whether it was the way you laid it out, the way you're just only staying at hotels, or the way, or your route, or what you left off, or what you didn't leave off that you didn't enjoy, what would you have changed about the way you went about doing this whole trip?
So far, nothing. I kind of like the way we've done it. There isn't anything. Of course, there's more I wish I would have seen, or more, but it's just like you said, it's something we'll do next time.
Yeah, these trips are just like attention getters for the real trips in the future,
right.
I think.
But really, because we'd already been to California to LA, we didn't spend no time in LA. We drove through LA to get to the next spot because we'd already done the Hollywood thing before. Other than that, so that was easy on us, but there isn't anything I think I would change. I hate being away from the kids, but we're having fun.
Lindley's going to be a month older when you see her, month and a half older when you see her. She's going to be a completely different kid.
I am so glad we're doing this now because, I'm almost 50 and I don't think I could do anything like this in another 10 years. I'm going to be able to do it, so I'm glad to get over it.
That's the American dream, sis. You work your whole life, and then you get to enjoy your entire your retirement and your golden years. But 3 months after you retire, you're dead. So good luck with all that, people.
We got really lucky being able to retire early, and so we can do this. And I don't know how our grandpa drove to Colorado.
Especially when there wasn't any interstate systems when he was going out there.
He's 8. Well, when I was born, he was 74 or 70 when I was born, and he was still driving. And, how in the world was he doing it? Because I can't do it at 50, so I don't know.
No, I've not had any issue driving. The van's super comfortable. There's seats. Are you getting cold?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm shivering.
We're gonna. She's used to the heat of Alabama, and it's like 15 degrees colder, so she needs to go put a parka on or something. But thank you so much. It's great to see you. I miss you guys, and tell all the kids I love them, and tell Logan don't forget me when he becomes a millionaire, because
He's working on it.
I know it. Tell him not to leave me out of the loop.
He leaves me in. I ain't gonna do anything.
That's all right. So yeah, it's getting sketchy. So we're gonna head back around, and I guess we're gonna leave. And let me give you a hug real quick. And
Okay.
call this the end of the interview. I love you.
I love you too.
It's great seeing you. And it's beautiful here.
And look, Mom, we did it, Mom.
Look, Mom, all the way out here. You never would have believed it.
Yeah.
You only thought we were going to go to the supermarket and back every day, but no, we're all the way out on the West Coast now. So, I still haven't got to see the Pacific Ocean yet. That's a bucket list item.
Well, you'll see it here soon.
Yeah,
Up
I'll
here-
probably get too much of it by the time I'm
The
done.
north, I think, is prettier just because, like you said,
See ya.